Hey, it's Ano. Welcome back to another video. Reverse 1999 is an upcoming gacha game coming here to global. They recently had their CBT, and fortunately I was able to participate in their CBT. So this video is just gonna be a quick overview of how the CBT is and how it's like and what to expect when the game comes out sometime this year. They did actually confirm that it's gonna come this year, so their release date shouldn't be too far off. It should be releasing right before the year ends, probably, if I have to guess, since they are gonna be in some gaming events in the coming months. Anyway, let's start with the video. First of all, I'm gonna discuss the story. I'm not gonna go into details, but I'm just gonna give a quick overview of how the premise of the story is. Basically, in the year 1999, a phenomenon called the storm started to happen. What the storm basically means is it's a phenomenon where time is reversing. Thus, you get the title Reverse 1999. The main MC of this game is Vertin, and they're actually a female protag, which is pretty rare in gacha games since usually it's either a male protag or you get to choose your gender. But for this one, it's gonna be just a female protag. And they are actually named, although the game does ask you to put in your name, but they won't use that name in the story. They will use Vertin's name. So Vertin is basically the timekeeper working for St. Pavlov's Foundation. The foundation is currently studying the storm just to find out what caused it and how to stop it from happening. Based on the current story right now, we're not really sure what Vertin's main goal is, because we do actually see her jumping through time, seemingly in locations where the storm is affecting the area. We can see that she's kind of like recruiting arcanists all throughout time in order to save them basically from the storm. Arcanists are basically the playable characters in this game, and in story they are pretty well, most of them are humans, or at least look like humans, although they're like persecuted for some reason. I guess it's because they're treated like witches or wizards back in the day, so when people were still afraid of magics and stuff. Right now in the story, there's two factions, namely St. Pavlov's Foundation, where Vertin comes from, and the villains called the Manus Vindictae. The Manus Vindictae are arcanist-only factions, which are, well, we're not really sure what they're trying to do, but like Vertin was doing, they're actually going through time also, and they're trying to recruit other arcanists to join their cause. Right now, we're not really sure what their cause is, but clearly they are against the St. Pavlov's Foundation. In the CBT, there were a total of 3 or 4 chapters, if you also consider the prologue as a chapter itself. But based on the CN version in the release, there should be a total of 4 chapters available, so we'll see if that's going to be the same for global. The story progression in this game is pretty straightforward. Basically, you're in a map and then you go through chapters. But in between chapters, sometimes there's like mini tasks on the map that you have to go through in order to unlock the next chapter. This could range from basically listening to dialogue or going through a battle. It's a pretty cool concept, especially since in later chapters it seems like there's other puzzles. Each stage has a normal mode and a hard mode. The hard mode gets unlocked later on as you go through the story. Each stage also has 2 objectives, so you can get a total of 2 stars per stage. You need to accumulate those stars in order to unlock the next chapter. But based on the CBT, those objectives aren't really that hard to get anyway, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Now moving on to the characters. For me, I think the characters are one of the strongest points in this game, because starting from the art style of this game is very clearly anime, but not totally anime in the sense that it seems like there's a mix of Western style of art in this game, which is good because of this, the game does stand out art-wise. And honestly, the characters in this game are like one of the most varied designs that I've seen in a gacha game ever. I mean, if you consider that there's a floating apple as a playable character, and the Sputnik, apparently, and a door, and a horse from a carousel as playable characters, I mean, I think that speaks for itself, right? Another good thing for the characters is the nationalities represented in this game are actually pretty varied. You have a character from Hong Kong, and their voice actor in English dub, at least, they do sound like they're from Hong Kong.
Oh, welcome, Waisa!
Others, I think there's a Russian character also and a German one, and they do actually have lines that have them speak in their native tongue, at least from what I can tell. That's a pretty good detail, and that's actually the reason why I'm thinking of playing this game in the English dub, and I do actually do that rarely. And also, just to talk about a slight gameplay mechanic for the characters, the rarity system in this game does go from 6-star to 2-star rarity. Alright, moving on to the gameplay. So, if you couldn't tell from the footage, this game is actually a turn-based RPG. This year has been a pretty stacked year for turn-based RPG gachas for some reason, since we've already had a number released like Star Rail. In battle, you do control 3 characters, but you do have the option to bring a 4th one in the 4th slot. That 4th character can be brought to the battle when one of your frontliners get killed. In terms of the battle mechanics, this game does use a card type system, so honestly, this game kind of reminds me of a modified version of the FGO battle system. In battle, each character has a total of 3 skills that they can use, 1 ultimate and 2 normal skills. So in battle, you could only use the 2 normal skills at first until you fill up what's called the Moxie system in this game. The Moxie system is basically like the ult system for this game. So you build up Moxie points as you use your normal skills in this game. You need a total of 5 Moxie points in order for you to use your ult. Now, speaking of the normal skills, this is where one of the cool points of battle are, since each character only has like 2, right? So you get a total of like 6 skills. And when in battle, you do get a random assortment of those 2 skills. And if you get 2 dupes of the same skill, you can actually combine them in order to level up that skill. The max level skill can be is at level 3. So let's say if you combine 2 level 1 skills, they become level 2. And if you combine 2 level 2s, they become level 3. What's the point of leveling up these skills? As you use higher level skills, their effects in battle change. Their damage multipliers either increases or they get sub-effects like they daze the opponent or they give debuffs to the opponent. So it's a pretty good system, I'd say. Especially since if you do actually combine the cards, that takes up 1 slot in your turn. And in your turn, you can only do 3 moves. So if you do combine cards, you'll be left with only 2 moves left to use 2 cards. So it's a pretty strategic gameplay system, I would say. Moving on to the element system of this game. So this game uses a total of 6 elements: a star, plant, mineral, beast, spirit, and intelligence. I'm gonna bring up a visual of which one is stronger than the other. So right now, based on the CBT, the advantage of each element to each other is around a 30% more damage to the receiving element. So yeah. Star, plant, mineral, and beast form a circle, and spirit and intelligence basically are good against each other, but they are neutral to the other 4 elements. There's also 3 main kinds of damage here in this game, namely reality damage, which is basically the physical damage in this game, mental damage, which is basically the magic damage, and genesis damage, which pertains to true damage. And that's it for the gameplay. Let's move on to the character progression. So the character progression system here is pretty similar to other gacha games, namely alchemy stars. So first up, I'm going to talk about Insight. Insight is basically the ascension levels in this game. Depending on the rarity, you can ascend a character around twice or thrice. So for the 6 and the 5 stars, I think you can ascend them thrice. And for the 4, 3, and the 2 stars, you can ascend them twice. Now, how leveling here works is, at first, character is at level 1, and then the level cap is at level 30. Once you hit level 30, you can perform an insight or ascend the character. And once you do, they do revert back to level 1. But then the level cap increases to 40, so on and so forth. Although the stats aren't affected when you go back to level 1. So if you compare a level 30 character to an insight level 1 character, the insight 1 level 1 character should be stronger than the level 31. Moving on to the side tubes. Now, the side tubes are basically the equipment here in this game. When I say equipment, it's like the light cone from Star Rail or the craft essence in Fate Grand Order. But the good thing here in this game is the side tubes are farmable. They don't have their own gacha banners, at least based on the CBT, which is cool. So you don't really have to worry about doing the gacha for this. You can farm these on a separate mode called Numa Analysis. For this one, you can farm it twice per day for free. And after that, you're gonna have to use your energy to farm more. Now, moving on to Portray. Portray is basically the dupe system of this game. So the dupe system here is pretty similar to other games like I'd say Alchemy Stars, where there's a total of 5. But here, the dupes are actually not that important, at least in my opinion, because compared to other games where the dupes bring like a certain kind of new passive or stuff like that, in here, they're mainly just improving the damage multipliers and the skills for the characters. Moving on to the last one, the resonance system. So the resonance system is basically another way to improve the stats of your characters. But for this one, it's portrayed as a puzzle-like thing where the buffs are shaped into certain shapes and you have to put them on a board. So if you want to use the buffs, you have to make them fit the board. Now, for those that don't want to bother with that, you can just use the quick load feature so that the AI would just put the buffs in a good way. So you don't have to worry about that too much, at least in the lower levels. Moving on, this game also has a base builder mode. It's named Wilderness in this game. Now, like I said, this is basically your typical base builder mode in gacha games. But the good thing about this mode is it's a pretty casual one. Basically, you have hexagonal plots of land and then you just drop it in order to increase the map size. And basically, that's it. And of course, you can also put some characters in that map. And the main help of this mode is you can passively gain resources like character XP or coins or stuff like that. I think you can also get other stuff as you increase the level of your map. I'm pretty thankful that they made it pretty casual in this game. So, because personally, I'm not really a big fan of base builder modes. Moving on to the gacha system of this game. So, first of all, this game does have a beginner banner. So, that's good. The beginner banner basically allows you to get a free 6-star, a guaranteed 6-star after doing a total of 30 pulls. Now, when you get a 6-star early, I think the banner will go away. Moving on to the actual normal banners of this game. Now, in the CBT, they didn't really have a rate-up character. They only had the standard banner. So, I'm not really sure how the limited banner works. But for the normal banner, at least, for every 10 pull, you're guaranteed a 4-star character or above. So that's 4-star, 5-star, or 6 stars. And then the pity of this game is 70 is the hard pity. And then the chances for a 6-star character increases starting at 61. So 61 can be treated as like the soft pity. So it's pretty similar to how normal gacha games have their gacha systems right now. From what I've researched, there seems to be a 50-50 system in the rate up banner, so there's that. Yeah, that's basically the gacha of this game. The good thing here in this game is, unlike games where you're very hard locked based on your character power or level, you can actually try to go beyond the level if you have a lower level characters, which is good because that's always appreciated, because it kind of feels bad that you can't progress because of your character level. It basically means that skill isn't really all that involved. So it's good that this game does have a more skill-based game system. This game also has its own repeatable mode. It's called the Artificial Somnambulism. Basically, this resets every week. This is basically the simulated universe type of mode in this game. I haven't really tried it a bit, but it seems like it has its own mini story also. So I'm pretty excited how they'll handle it. This is probably gonna be the main mode to get your gacha currency also. Hopefully it won't be too grindy. Now, finally, talking about the bonuses. So This game actually does have a beginner mission. It's called Beginning of the Tale. So this is a pretty good beginner mission system because there is actually quite a lot of things that you can get from this. And it's a good way to learn about all of the different aspects of the game. And you can actually get a free skin by doing these missions. A free skin for one of the starter characters, Soneto. And there's also an 8-day login system for newbies. Now, for this one, there's also a lot of freebies. And by the end of the login, you can get a free 5-star character named Dyke. I think it's Dyke, or is it DK? I'm not sure about the pronunciation, but based on my experience of using this character, they're pretty good because they're basically a DPS and a healer in one package. And this game also does have a daily login system. Basically, that's everything for this game. I'm pretty impressed with this game because, well, first of all, the art style is pretty unique. And I do love how they handle the characters and how they try to make the English dub more accurate to the region where the character is from. So that's a pretty unique concept, I would say. Like I said, we don't really have a solid release date thus far, but they did confirm that this will release this year. So we shouldn't be waiting too long for those that are interested in taking this game. Basically, that's Reverse 1999. What do you think? Are you gonna get it when it gets released? Because I know I will. I'm gonna add this to the long list of gacha games that I'm already playing. Anyway, thank you so much for watching the video. I'll be seeing you in my next one, which is gonna be next week, I think, depending on when Fate Grand Order will get their summer event this year for NA. So yeah. Anyway, see you in the next one. Bye.